All right. Well, I guess I have a pulse again. I don't know what the fuck that was. So, the first part of the stream just kind of disappeared. But it is what it is. I guess for some reason my PC just completely lost connection with the internet. Uh, I'm sorry, but there's really nothing I could possibly do about that. So, I'm back. But I promised to go to Madrid today, and unlike yesterday, I don't plan on ruining my plan on lying. I don't know what I was trying to say there, but that wasn't it. All right. Now we will go from Ibiza to Madrid. Now there won't be as many people here, but that's okay. Real fans will stick around. Deadlight's still here. Nebulelli's still here. That's all I need. Told you Swanee would take over the stream and end it. I mean, that is exactly what... I don't know what the fuck happened. I lost, complete connection for some reason. OBS crapped out, and then I couldn't get Twitch to reload. I mean, it's happened before that my stupid internet just goes stupid. The good news was I got to take put my milk in the fridge and all that stuff, so that's nice at least. I don't think my internet died. My PC sometimes struggles with connection to the internet for some reason. And we're flying. Woo! Look at us go. We are leaving Ibiza. But this plane is pretty much a lot faster. Oh. But that also means it might be a little more difficult to fly into certain places. I'm not honestly sure how that part's going to go. And we have a ways to go. Madrid is pretty far away. But yeah, this is a sexier plane. That much is definitely for sure. As you can see, it's a relatively sexy plane. It's a little weird looking actually now that I'm looking at it. $250 nm. That's pretty fucking far away. So hopefully the increased speed of this plane will get us there a hell of a lot faster. We're fucked. Yeah, there might be a higher chance of crashing. I'm not entirely sure. We're just gonna have to wait and see. Alright, I can get this thing a little higher up into the air though. Well, they're really saying Cookie 69er a lot. It's starting to piss me off again. The next destination is Madrid. We are going to Madrid, Spain. Should make you quite happy, Tesco. Madrid is the final destination. Just like the movie. Keep it at around 4,000 feet would probably be good. I definitely want to see the Bernabeu if we're going to Madrid. A la Madrid. Goodbye, Ibiza. Although Ibiza was like way over there, but goodbye, Ibiza. I was giving up hope. No, Lang. I always find hope. There's nowhere else better to get hope than this. Cool, legit woke up 2 minutes ago. Well, you're here for stream part 2. I'm going to change the title because Swanee's not here anymore. Changed. I didn't even ask Waffle to do it. Ugh. So apparently there's a gigantic moth in my kitchen. But the problem with moths is they always hang out around the light, and I can't stare at light bulbs trying to figure out where the fucking moth went. So it's still up there. I don't know where it is. It's probably going to kill me. It was a big moth. That thing was like big. Big moth. So it'll probably kill me. I don't know where it is. It disappeared. Push it. I don't know where it is. I don't want to stare into lights until I go blind. Oh, phone's flashlight. That could be scary. Why don't I just wait till morning? My brother will probably kill it. I don't feel like killing it. They spent 30 million euros on a 18-year-old Turkish player. That honestly doesn't sound that crazy to me the way things are right now in soccer. I don't think that's even that much. So, should I continue with my top 100 movies and give them out little piece by little piece? Good for that dude. That's very good for that dude. Do it, Cookie. I will do as bidded. I will admit, this plane is a little hard to keep from, like, nosediving. It likes to do that. So, give me a second here. It's hard to keep it level. See? Oh, God. This is really hard to look away with this plane. So you look away, and it just goes bonkers. Tainted laptop. To do it without Han. Well, Han left. He left it behind. God damn it, laptop. I can't do this with one hand. Alright. Take over AI so I can do this. Don't fuck it up. Ooh. This is interesting. Okay. So are you mofos ready for this? I don't know how many of you are even in here. But the mofos that are in here, are you ready for this? As I continue the top 100, which honestly I haven't actually done in quite a while now. I'm not going to crash. My body is ready. We are ready. Lay it on us. That's at least 3 people that give a shit. That's enough for me. Okay. Alright. So, number 40. This will be the second movie so far from director Christopher Nolan. This is not one of his most famous films, but I do think it's one of his best films. What I really like about this film is that you don't really know where it's going to go, and it's basically, it's more or less just a giant competition. And it is called The Prestige. So The Prestige was a movie that came out in 2006, I think, which would be, people were starting to know Christopher Nolan, but he still wasn't, he hadn't done The Dark Knight yet, so he wasn't huge at this point. But The Prestige is about a rivalry between 2 magicians, I think in the late 1800s or early 1900s. I don't know how much. I think it plays with reality. I don't think any of this actually. I don't know if the two magicians ever even existed, but there's definitely characters in this movie that do exist, like Nikola Tesla, and they play around with that, and it's pretty interesting. This movie's loaded with actors. Like every Christopher Nolan film, Michael Caine is in it, although he's not technically in all of them, but he is almost in all of them. Well, Michael Caine's in this movie. Christian Bale is in this movie. Hugh Jackman puts up a fantastic performance in this movie. Scarlett Johansson is in this movie. Andy Serkis is in this movie. David Bowie is in this movie. I think that's it for massive actors that are in this movie. Piper Perabo is in this movie, if you know who she is. Anyway, there's a lot of actors in this movie. And it's a very, very intense movie. Like, it's about these magicians, but it just gets increasingly more and more intense and more crazy as they try to outdo each other. Christian Bale and Hugh Jackman play the two main magicians, and it's just epic. Epic as fuck. He hasn't been in every single one, because I'm pretty sure Michael Caine was not in Dunkirk. But anyway, the point is, it's a terrific movie. Hugh Jackman's performance is probably the best thing about this movie. But I think the best thing about it overall is probably the plot, because it's just such an interesting plot in the way that it twists and turns, and then it has a satisfying ending in the end when you find out ultimately what actually happens, or what was actually going on the entire time. They deal with, finding ways to fake magic, finding ways to do real magic. It's just a really, really entrancing tale that you kind of have to keep your eye on to make sure you understand entirely what's going on in this movie. Really, really smart movie. Really, really well done. And I do think that this is definitely something I would very, very highly recommend. Is one of the better... The odd thing is, I'm trying to think... I think this cracks the top 5 for me with Christopher Nolan. I think this would be my 5th favorite. So you're going to see more Christopher Nolan, obviously. But The Prestige is one of his best films. And it's a treasure. And I think it's the best I've ever seen Hugh Jackman act. And I do like Hugh Jackman as an actor. Number 39. This is a controversial film. It definitely is. It deals with very dark subject matter. But I love how this film does it. And it deals... Its main point of this movie is racism. And what I like about this movie is it doesn't pull its punches when it comes to racism. It doesn't, it shows you the darkest parts of racism, to be real, in a lot of ways. But it's not about slavery or anything. This is about modern-day racism. And yeah, Forced to Suffer's right. It's American History X. I love this movie. Edward Norton puts up an unbelievable performance in this movie, but overall what I really love about it is just how intense and scary real racism is. I mean, it really doesn't play around with the idea of racism. Like, these are neo-Nazis. These are absolute crazy people. But what I really like about it is not that it humanizes them, but makes them more realistic. They're not just like these crazy people. They appear more real, which makes it more scary that there are people that nuts out there. It's not so much that they're making the racists look more human or humanizing them. It's just making them look more realistic, like more plausible. Like, oh shit, yeah, I could see people like them in everyday life. And I love how they like kind of expose how racism grows in a person. And they show the entire evolution of Edward Norton's character and why he becomes such a racist and then why he decides not to become a racist. It's a very brilliant film in my point of view on the perspective of racism, especially in the United States. So heavily recommend, but it's a hard movie to watch. There is a lot of really hard scenes to watch. Like I said, this movie does not pull its punches at all. It will hit you with dark ass subject material, but still really, really good watch. I really enjoy this movie. It's just not the easiest to watch. Let me put it that way. But I have a lot of respect for it. But Edward Norton's performance is just outstanding. I mean, it deals with a lot of shit. I mean, major racism. We're talking prison rape. All that good stuff is in there. It's painful to watch, but yeah. How is not watching a film a bigger L than anything Han has said? Yeah, I mean, I can't say it's a bigger L than saying that Loki's worse than She-Hulk. Like, I can barely keep my pants on about that one. Oh, why did I say pants? That's not what I meant to say. Has anybody seen American History X in here? Or only, Forced to Suffer's at least heard of it. But, like, American History X I think that's a movie, like, it's not the easiest to watch, like I said, but I feel like it's a movie people should watch if you want to understand racism in America a little bit better. I have not seen American History. I've seen it once, like 7 years ago. It's a pretty fucking crazy movie. All right, so at number 38, we're going to go back to Christopher Nolan again. And this should get at least a few of you very interested because, well, you should be able to figure it out. The sound of the dude's teeth on the pavement was great. So dark. That scene, though, is just so fucking dark. I'm going to wreck this plane. I keep getting the altitude closer and closer to the ground because I can't fucking tell where the ground is. No, not Oppenheimer. It hasn't come out yet. Not The Dark Knight Rises. This is my first Nolan film I've ever seen, and by that I mean it's the first one as far as when it came out. Well, that's not true. I forgot about Memento. It's not Memento. But this is the beginning of something really big. I don't know how else to put that. There's not a whole ton of actors in this. I can go through them. Insomnia is an interesting guess. I've never actually seen Insomnia, but it's got Robin Williams and Al Pacino in it, and it is a Nolan film. Batman Begins is number 38 for me. I've told you guys before that I think the Dark Knight trilogy is the greatest trilogy in the history of trilogies. Better than Lord of the Rings, better than Indiana Jones or any of the Star Wars trilogies. This is the trilogy. I love the Dark Knight trilogy. I think it's as good of a trilogy as literally has ever been made. Yeah, I don't know how you guys took so long to guess that, but that's okay. You got to it eventually. Batman Begins, I think, is an excellent film. It really goes under the radar in some ways. I remember when it first came out, nobody was really talking about it. It seemed like it kind of just went under. It's that good a trilogy, but they are good films. Begins over The Dark Knight Rises, mega fucking L. Ranking Begins over The Dark Knight Rises? I don't understand what you're saying. Batman Begins is the first Dark Knight movie that I put on there. I see we just didn't care enough to write it down. Now, Batman Begins is a fantastic film. I will say this is a movie that gets better with the other movies, which is unusual too, because a lot of times I'll watch a movie. Oh, you think it's a massive L that I said this is worse than The Dark Knight Rises? Is that what you're trying to say? Yeah, but I'll get into that later. I think that, this does a fantastic job of opening up the entire universe. It's just an overall great film. I think the problem was, and what's unfortunate about Batman Begins, is, it doesn't get a lot of credit because I feel like this trilogy didn't really get popular until The Dark Knight. I feel like people that watch Batman Begins were excited for The Dark Knight, but I think there was kind of this idea of I don't know where this is going. Then when people started to see The Dark Knight, then The Dark Knight got a ton of press, and it started to get extremely excited going into that movie. At least that's what it felt like for me. I thought that the acting performances in this are. The actors they got for this movie is pretty incredible. To get Michael Caine to be Alfred, to get Morgan Freeman to be Lucius Fox, and then to get Liam Neeson to play Ra's al Ghul is really just incredible. To get those guys in a movie together at all is pretty incredible. And they were all so perfectly done. I thought Cillian Murphy was really good in this too, as Scarecrow. It's the first time you ever really see Cillian Murphy. And I think he does a really, really good job in this role. I thought Katie Holmes was pretty damn good as Rachel. I've never really seen Katie Holmes do a role that I liked, but this was definitely that time for Katie Holmes. It's a shame she wasn't in The Dark Knight, because I thought she did fine, or really good. I've always been a fan of Christian Bale Batman. I know there's a lot of people that aren't, or at least don't like him a lot. But I really like Christian Bale as Batman. I think he does a great job in that role. And I do like how they show Batman's backstory, but it's not boring at all. I don't think that his backstory is even remotely boring. Liam Neeson, I mean, to hear his voice like echoing throughout it more or less is still absolutely fantastic. Well, to be fair, I don't know anything about Ra's al Ghul outside of that movie, so I guess if he was supposed to be fucking Asian, that would make more sense. I don't know if they said that the one guy was actually Ra's al Ghul, but then he turned into, like Liam Neeson overtook that once that guy died. I don't know if that makes any sense, but I just really like Liam Neeson. I think Liam Neeson's technically Irish, but yeah, more or less, I kind of get that. I think that I was trying to think what else I really like about this movie. I thought the idea of the fear drug is interesting. I don't know how plausible it actually is to stick something like that in the water supply and literally destroy an entire city. But it was a very interesting play on things with Scarecrow and stuff like that. But what I like the most about it is it does a really, really good job of originating Batman and showing him to us and showing us this situation. So I really, really enjoy it. I cannot keep this fucking plane level, though. My God, I keep, like, descending down really, really easily. This plane is really hard to keep in one spot. Tumbler chase scene was really good. I mean, the action isn't as good as it's going to be in the next two movies, but there is some good action scenes in this movie. It's not like it's lost on action. And like all of the Batman movies, I don't think there's any like lulls in this movie. I guess it's the closest to having a lull of boringness as the other two, but wow, Batman Begins has always been the favorite of your trilogy. Damn. Action went downhill after this. Well, I don't agree with that at all. But, I mean, you're allowed to say that. Allowed to think that, but I totally disagree with that. But I think the action's good in this movie. I think it gets better in the movies to come, but still enjoyable at least. The weakest element of the Dark Knight trilogy. I definitely don't think that. All right. So Batman Begins at 38. Number 37, we're going to keep ourselves in the nerd realm here. So this movie came out in 2016. I have always been a major lover of this movie. Which is, I think most of you agree that this is a good movie, but this is one movie I think most of you have actually seen. Even Waffle, I think, has seen this movie. Yeah, Emperor of Arkham, Rogue One. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story is number 37 for me. This gave me a lot of hope for Disney Star Wars. I didn't know that it would, other than maybe The Mandalorian, it would never get better than this. I'm not even sure if The Mandalorian was better than this. But Rogue One did an outstanding job of giving Star Wars some reality. Like a feeling of like gritty reality. Like they really had to sacrifice. There wasn't any, like Rogue One does not feel like a cheery, happy-go-lucky kind of story. It introduces us to a lot of new characters, and I like that it didn't rely on older characters. It did have them in there, of course, and I'll talk about Darth Vader later. But for the most part, this is about new characters, and it's showing us these new characters. We get to see Jyn Erso, which I love her as a character. Obviously, I've crushed on her, but I love her as a character, too. I think Felicity Jones does a great job in that role. We get to see Cassian Andor. I'll admit, I liked him a lot more when he got his own series. But he had an interesting character with interesting motivations that were different, and something that's never really looked into in the original trilogy. I like how they show the rebellion had flaws. It wasn't just a bunch of perfect people. They were making mistakes. They were doing things that might even be considered immoral to some people. I like that they explore that in this movie. They do a much better job exploring that than they do when they try to do it in The Last Jedi. It looks epic as shit, too. I mean, it looks amazing. I mean, the Death Star scenes, seeing the Death Star, the way they kind of showed it in this looks epic. When they shot at Jeddah and the subsequent sandstorm was an epic-ass scene. It has some really cool fighting scenes. I like the Donnie Yen's character. I really like Riz Ahmed's character. So they add all these new characters, and of course K2SO. K2SO is one of the best side characters in Star Wars. And finally, I think like there's It's just this continuing thing of droids, and usually the droids are likable, but K2SO is one of the most likable ones, to be honest. I love him as a droid. And then, one of my favorite things about Rogue One is how it ultimately ends. Like, we all kind of think, well, Rogue One's probably not going to survive. Wouldn't all these people have to die? And we're like, well, no, they'll find a way to survive. And then, no, they all do have to die. And the way that they did it was, it was, it was really well done. Like, yeah, they get their moment in the sun, kind of, but it was really cool. I really liked it. So Rogue One is definitely by far the best Disney Star Wars movie. And it's just really good. Officer Krennic. Director Krennic is an interesting villain because he's a little unusual, especially at that time. Usually the villain was very, very powerful, but Krennic is more of just a powerful mind. He's not necessarily, super powerful or anything, but he's kind of an unusual villain. And I think maybe if Ben Mendelsohn didn't play him, maybe that wouldn't have worked as well. But Krennic was kind of realistic, and I liked him as a villain. He really did kind of work out for me. So, big fan of that. And then, of course, they end with the Darth Vader scene. And I'm sorry, that scene will always have a place in Bonerland for me. That's like just an incredibly awesome scene. I mean, to see everything get dark, and then you hear that like breathing in the dark. Like, let's be real. That almost made me completely okay with Disney taking over Star Wars because we finally got a chance to see Vader really be Vader. Like, that's just something all of us fantasized about forever. That scene was just incredible. So getting to see that does take it up a notch. I mean, without that scene, I will admit it would be a lot lower. I still think it would make my top 100, but that scene really is the best scene of the movie. And it's really amazing. Excuse whatever kind of strange death gas just came out of me right there. I apologize for it all. I would definitely not say The Force Awakens was as good, but I still kind of like The Force Awakens. I'm trying not to throw away the baby with the bathwater when it comes to Force Awakens, because it's still not a terrible movie, but I can't rate it that high considering the movies that came after it. But it's still far and away the best of that trilogy. I think everybody could probably agree with that. Or at least all agree Force Awakens is definitely better than The Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. I feel like that's an easy say, but I definitely think Rogue One's better. All right, most of this top 10 is pretty nerdy. We're getting into nerdland here, so you guys might enjoy this. So coming in number 36, we're headed to the MCU. We haven't been there in a while, actually, I think. Well, not that long. Anyway, we're heading to the MCU. This is a movie that I didn't think right away would actually be this high. When I first saw it, I didn't put it this high. But over time, and I think from the MCU films that came after it, actually helped this film even more. For me, this had a just. The cast is unbelievable. Not to be that surprising the way MCU generally is, but the cast of this is just incredible. This is an extremely famous comic book series for Marvel. And I thought that the way they adapted it might not be perfect, but I'm pretty impressed that they were able to do it in any way, and that's Civil War. Captain America Civil War is number 36 for me. When I first saw this movie, I didn't adore it. I thought it was pretty good, enjoyable, but I thought it was a little bit of a stretch. But after watching it eventually, or over time, I started to see more and more why this was such a good film. Not just because it was cool and had all this cool stuff, which I'll get to because it does have a lot of cool stuff, but that it actually was interesting because, kind of like what I said with Rogue One, there's a lot of reality going on in this one. I mean, there's consequences. They actually get in trouble for what happened in previous movies like Winter Soldier or Age of Ultron, and they actually have to pay for it to some degree. And I think that's really cool. I think the Captain Gauntlet was on their cords and Tony and Cappy on opposite sides. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I don't know everything about the comics, but let's be real. That's about as much as you could hope for sometimes with the way that they do these films. In order for it to actually fit in with the MCU, I thought they actually did a pretty good job finding a place for it to make any sense. And for Tony and Cap to be on different sides made a lot of sense in the context of what was happening. And it still gives people what they want, which is, given these Marvel heroes fighting against each other in some way, shape, or form. I always thought that the Civil War storyline, I would have liked to see a little bit more time, but considering the time constraints they kind of put themselves under, I thought they actually did an incredible job. But as far as the movie itself, it's an incredible movie to watch. I think there's some really good acting in this. I think, the plot moves along very, very well. And I think most of the characters in this movie do a great job. Now, I have to point out where I have my nerdgasms, which is my two favorite superheroes ever in Marvel both showed up in this movie, which were Black Panther and Spider-Man. Like, before the MCU, Black Panther and Spider-Man were my favorite heroes. Black Panther mostly because he looked awesome and has the coolest outfit ever. And Spider-Man because, everybody loves Spider-Man. But the airport fight scene is epic. It gets a little campy in some spots, but for the most part, it's still an extremely good fight scene. But there's a lot more than that. Like, when you watch Civil War again, you realize just how much fucking action there is in this movie. Because, at the very beginning of the film, you get the epic fight scenes that involve Captain America and Falcon, Scarlet Witch, Black Widow, that are all fighting in Nigeria. And you get that epic-ass fight scene, which has a lot of cool moments. You get another epic-ass fight scene when, Winter Soldier is initially blamed for Black Panther's dad's death. And, him and Captain America have to, fight out of that weird apartment, stairwell. That scene is epic as fuck. And then Black Panther ends up fighting him, continuing that epic scene. And that boils into another epic car chase scene. I mean, there's just epic scene after epic scene after epic scene. And not to mention the entire plan, which was done by Zemo, and the way that he did it. When I first watched it, I thought that Zemo's plan was a little far-fetched and a little odd that it actually worked. But after watching it again, I actually think it made a lot of sense. And it was really cool the way that they did it. So, in general, I was really impressed with this movie. And then the ending, I thought when I first watched it, again, I thought it was a little far-fetched. But again, upon watching it multiple times over the years, I'm like, no, that kind of tracks. That sounds pretty legitimate that Iron Man would have that reaction, that Captain America would have that reaction, and the two would come to blows, which, by the way, was also another epic fucking fight. There's just so much to like in this movie. Just a lot of good stuff. And, of course, the airport fight scene is also an epic fight. I can't lie, though. I mean, the fact that they got Spider-Man and Black Panther as perfectly as they did, at least in that movie, that it was casted perfectly and they looked amazing. There was a lot of that in this, too, and just pure, raw excitement. And this is also, we've had a couple Avengers movies to this point, but this is where we really started to get a crazy amount of superheroes coming together at the same time before we would ultimately get to see the completion of that in Infinity War a couple years later. But I'm a big fan of Civil War. It's the best Black Panther. I would agree with that. I think Chadwick's at his best in that movie. And it's the most interesting version of Black Panther. Not to mention the best suit, because he looks amazing in that outfit. So, next up is number 35. We're going to stick with superheroes here, but we are going to leave the MCU. Also good, the shame the MCU can't balance the films as well now. Yeah, we haven't... MCU's really struggled to get back into that way of doing things. No, it's not The Dark Knight Rises. Oh, no, I'm trying to crack my leg and I couldn't do it. No, it's not DC, but it's also not MCU, but it's still superheroes. This movie, I don't know how the general public feels about this movie. When it came out, it got pretty high reviews, and most people seem to like it. It's not Deadpool, but you're in the right area. This movie, what else can I say about? I mean, it's got a crazy cast. Every superhero movie has a crazy cast, though, at this point. This, I will admit, I think, at the time, stuff like time travel wasn't exactly overdone and annoying yet. but it was about to get there. X-Men Days of Future Past is number 35 for me. I love this movie. Now, in all honesty, the original X-Men, the ones with Hugh Jackman and Halle Berry and stuff, like, I really enjoyed. Ooh, City of Arts and Science. This is an interesting building. Oh, we're in Valencia. Oh, cool. Valencia's a big city. Look at that fucking building, though. I think I've seen this building before. It's epic as shit. It's like a wild-looking, crazy building. It's fucking huge. The City of Arts and Sciences. I have seen that building before. It's like it's supposed to be like a technological marvel. So that's fucking cool. All right, well, I didn't expect to see that, but that's pretty badass. Valencia. All right, sorry. I got very distracted by a cool city. Future Past, what I really love about X-Men Days of Future Past is just how they perfectly found a way to combine the new X-Men with the old X-Men in a timeline that probably doesn't make perfect sense, but makes a lot of sense. And the way that they did it was really good. It gave a chance to reconcile the shittiness of those early X-Men without getting rid of the goodness of those original X-Men, which I also really, really appreciated and really, really liked. I like Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. I don't really have a problem with Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique. I really like James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender, and of course I love Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen. So getting the chance to see both of the Professor X's and both of the Magnetos, both in my opinion done absolutely perfectly with one another, was pretty epic in general. I really enjoyed that. And all the different characters get their moment. Like, they all kind of get their moment in the sun. And, of course, Wolverine, Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, is right at the center of all of it, which makes perfect sense. He is the guy to be at the absolute center of the entire thing because, you know, he is fucking Wolverine. And if anybody is going to be in that situation, it's going to be him. So, and I like Peter Dinklage in this movie. Just an interesting to at least see him there. At least Jennifer Lawrence was hot. Jennifer Lawrence was hot. But I thought that the movie in general made sense. I think they did a pretty good job of that. The Sentinels are absolutely mortifying. I mean, the Sentinels became one of the scariest like villains I've ever seen in superhero movies. Like, they were fucking scary. Like, the way that they present them at the beginning of the movie is just really terrifying. There's a lot of really good fight scenes in X-Men Days of Future Past. But there's a lot of good tearjerker scenes, too. I always think of the time with Professor X, when old Professor X is talking to young Professor X through their minds and stuff. I love that scene. I mean, I get choked up usually when I hear that scene. Like, it's just a neat, cool scene about talking to your younger self and trying to motivate them to save the older self. It was just a neat idea. It just makes shit worse. Yeah, I think there's probably a decent amount of plot holes in this movie, but I kind of don't care. They don't destroy the movie for me, but there are probably things that could have gone a different way. But in general, it's a lot of fun, and for the most part, it made sense to me. So X-Men Days of Future Past is still one of my favorite superhero movies of all time. But yeah, it's pretty wild. Well, the original Sentinels were had metal in them, I think. Because they were like prototypes, so they weren't that advanced yet. They eventually would get rid of the metal. But you would think they would have started with that. But didn't he also like use metal and interlope it in with the Sentinels or something? It all strains into it, but how did that take over the program and actual computer parts? It's metal, I don't know. Let's not get too technical here, Deadlight. This movie was indeed dope. I really enjoyed the movie a lot. So number 34, we're going to get away from nerdy stuff, although I guess you could consider this a nerdy movie, maybe by some people's account. This is a sequel to another movie that was already on this list. It's an animated movie with one of the best soundtracks ever. Outstanding soundtrack. And introducing extremely good characters to a movie franchise that already had great characters. Not Toy Story 3. Not a bad guess, though. Not Across the Spider-Verse. Like I said, I didn't put Across the Spider-Verse in this top 100. It would have definitely made it, I think. But I just saw it too recently. So I need to, that would have to go on the next top 100 movie list if I ever make one. But yeah, so this movie, how else do I put this? It came out in 2004. What other hints can I give you guys without totally giving it away? I don't know. That's a good bit of hints for this one. No. You guys are in Pixar land. It's not a Disney film. It's a DreamWorks film. Yeah, Shrek 2. I don't know if anybody knew what the song was that I was trying to do. But Shrek 2 is number 34. This movie is just joy. I still get so much enjoyment out of watching this film. It's like the first hour and a half are really enjoyable. It's a good film with a fun plot. And I like the I like the idea of the plot of what they're doing. But where the movie really starts to take off is in the last 30 minutes, but also when they introduce Puss in Boots, because the laughs are just almost nonstop after that. And there's so much good like adult humor snuck into these films. They did such a good job in the first Shrek, and I think they do even better in Shrek 2. Puss in Boots is one of the best characters ever. I love Puss in Boots so much. He's so fucking hilarious. I fucking love Puss in Boots in this movie. There's just nonstop great scenes. But they really... I like how they tap into this idea, which in the first Shrek, they obviously went with the idea of like having the hero not be attractive. But then they kind of double down with that idea like, well, what if he could be attractive? Would he choose to be attractive? Like, that's actually a really cool plot. And they give Fiona the chance to be attractive again. They're like, we could be like this forever. Like, that's a neat idea for a plot. And all the different like ways they make fun of fairy tales. Like, they kept all the good stuff from the first Shrek and then added a little bit more. But let's talk about those last 30 minutes, because this is one of the best finales to any movie I've ever seen. It's so electric. That's the only way I can define it. Like, when I Need a Hero starts up, oh my god, it's like it's just full electricity for the rest of that movie. It still gives me chills. There's something about the way that they do that at the end, with Shrek like tower coming into the castle with the giant gingerbread man. Like, it just makes you. I just remember that stuff as a kid and how cool it was. Be good. And the moment where Puss in Boots jumps off, said, "No, your daddy needs you." And like, it's like, today I repay my debt. Gives the cute face and then just starts beating the shit out of the guards. Like, it's just such a good movie. There's very little that I could say against this movie. Great from start to finish, but that last 30 minutes is really, that's fucking electric. And it's a great ending. It's a great way to say goodbye. It's a shame that Shrek kind of falls off after that, but hey, at least they got two really good movies out of it, and apparently the latest Puss in Boots is a masterpiece. I just still haven't seen it. So we'll see if I ever watch that. Hopefully I will at some point. I've heard it's pretty good. I've heard it's really good, actually. All right, I think we've taken enough of a break from superhero movies. Let's jump back into them. As a number 33, we've got another superhero movie. When I first saw this superhero movie, I thought it was absolutely amazing. I don't know how many movies have ever given me this kind of an experience in a movie theater. But I will say over time, it's taken some hits. It's not quite as good as when I first saw it, but it's still an amazing movie. Because the last fucking hour of this movie is some of the greatest things I've ever seen on a screen. However, it's about a 3-hour movie. So I do have to factor in the other 2 hours, which aren't bad. They're just not nearly as good as that last hour. Can't believe you guys haven't gotten this yet. Because the last hour of this movie is beyond iconic. We're talking about Endgame. Avengers Endgame is number 33 for me. I'm going to start with why it's not higher. Because especially as an MCU fan, you might think that Endgame would be a lot higher for me. But let's talk about the beginning of this movie. I don't hate the beginning, because I actually kind of like the fact that they have to like endure the like pain of that situation. I kind of don't mind that happened. I kind of don't mind that they had to like actually endure losing and figure out how to move on with their life. Here's the things that I mind. Let's start with Hulk. Horrible. Hulk was a complete waste in this movie. Just completely wasted. Like in Infinity War, he was pretty lame too, but at least I had the hope that Hulk would get his Hulkness back. But that didn't happen. He just became really lame. Let's talk about something else bad. Thor. They had a chance. They had a chance. And there were moments in this movie where they actually paid that off. And I actually love what they were trying to do with Thor. But then they make him into a laughingstock, which is so stupid. They had such a great opportunity to make Thor such that much better of a character. I already love Thor. But they had a chance to like take it in such a mature and interesting direction, and they kind of did, but they had to make a fat joke. It's like you were so close to this beautiful work of art with Thor's story, and then you made him into a fat joke. Like, He still has cool scenes in this movie. Like, his scene with his mom is still really cool, and I love his scene at the end with Valkyrie, and he still gets really badass at the end of Endgame like everybody else does, but they were so close. Now Thor never recovers though. That's also true, and Hulk doesn't either. So that kind of is a different story. I think that I think in the first 2 hours, I think another problem this movie has in general is that it doesn't. I think the time heist thing, even though they kind of pay it off in a pretty cool way, in the way that they go back in time and the things they do back in time, it's still kind of lazy and kind of not an impressive way to do it. Like, I would have hoped they come up with something a little more original, a little more interesting for why they were able to reverse the snap. And then there's also a part of me that loves the snap. So there's a part of me that's like, I don't really want them to get over this easily. And they kind of did. So there's a little disappointment in that too. So these are the reasons I don't like Endgame. Let's talk about the reasons I do like Endgame. I love Hawkeye's story in Endgame. I really liked Black Widow's sacrifice in Endgame. This is the stuff beyond the final hour. I actually really like Black Widow as a character in this movie. I think they started to give her some character, and then they really give her a lot of character in this movie, which made me really like the character as more than just eye candy for the first time, which is nice. Well, I shouldn't say the first time. I liked her in Winter Soldier a lot too. Anyway, point is, they added a lot of character to her. I love what they do with Iron Man and Captain America's story in this movie. Absolutely fucking adore what they did with both of their stories and how they finished them off. And then that ending, man, is just a fucking chef's kiss. Like the nerdgasm that you get in that last hour just is amazing. I mean, forget the portal scene. That 3-on-1 battle before with Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, and Thanos, every pixel of that fucking scene is just awesome. It's just so fucking cool. There's just nothing else to it. It's just so cool. It's just awesome from start to finish. I mean, you get the moment of Thor shooting the electricity in Iron Man's back, so he shoots out that giant beam. And then you have Thor letting the lightning go through, and he catches both Mjolnir and Stormbreaker. And then you have Thanos kicking everybody's ass. Then Captain America uses Mjolnir. What? It's just so awesome. That fight is epic as shit. And then that comes right after that. You get the portals. And not only do you get the portals, you get the payoff of seeing a actual battle. And you get to really see the battle. It's not just a bunch of shit on the ground. You see tons of stuff going on. In fact, you have to watch the battle multiple times because you'll miss so many cool things if you're not paying attention, which makes it that much better. I absolutely adore it. And then Everybody has their own roles in that battle. You get to see so many things pay off. You get the Iron Man Spider-Man hug, which is just like tear explosions. And then, of course, the way that it all ends in the end, which is just the only bad thing about the Endgame battle, and we all know the women coming together thing was so cheesy and lame. That really didn't need to happen. That was just, did anybody like that? Did women enjoy that? They're like, yeah, girl power. All that does for me if I'm a woman is like, oh, let's point out all the women because, otherwise we wouldn't have noticed that there were women here. Like, it was so cringy. I hate that shit. I don't think any woman was like, hell yeah. Maybe some little girls enjoyed that scene, but nobody really liked that. That scene sucked. Everything else, though, in that battle was epic as fuck. It's just so good. And then the ending it's perfection. I mean, that ending was perfect. Like, all the, like, mistakes that might have been made before this, I think are kind of, I wouldn't say wiped completely away, but wiped mostly away by how good that ending was. Like, that last hour is so good that I can allow for some plot hole issues and some character mistakes because of just how good the ending is. Although those character mistakes, I don't allow that so much because that didn't have anything to do with the plot. They kind of hurt their plot a little bit there. But I still love Avengers Endgame. It's just not as good as some other choices. Put it there. So, give me a moment. I need to refresh my palate because I've been talking a lot. Heartfelt funeral for Tony, but they didn't ever say anything about Black Widow. No, you're kind of right. Black Widow kind of got fucked over there. I mean, they said things about it. Like, when she died, there was, like, the 6 of them were kind of mourning her and stuff, but there wasn't any, like, big funeral procession. But to be fair, they still had a lot to do. There wasn't really time to do a funeral at that point, but they could have done it later. So that is kind of a shame that didn't happen. It's just eye candy anyway. Yeah, I'm glad they gave Black Widow. I think her going away was appropriate, but it was kind of weird that she didn't get the love that Iron Man got. But at the same time, it kind of makes sense for Black Widow because Black Widow was more behind the scenes, and she always was a behind the scenes superhero. And then Iron Man has always been the guy right in the spotlight from the very first movie when he said, "I am Iron Man." So, it kind of makes sense from that point of view. But yeah, I guess to be fair, Tony's funeral was all Avengers, so they would have all known Black Widow anyway. It's kind of true, kind of fair. I agree with that. All right, so number 32, getting away from superheroes again. Although in this movie, this character is kind of like a superhero, kicks about as much ass as a superhero. This is one of the ultimate revenge flicks, and it's not even revenge as much as it is just you done fucked up. That's basically the whole point of this movie. There's not a lot of suspense in this movie. It's mainly just beating the shit out of people. And I have to say, that's why I love it. I will admit it not having as much of a plot might be why it's not higher, but it is just so raw and cool. John Wick is a good guess, but it's not John Wick. It's actually the movie that I feel like inspired John Wick to some extent, in some ways. But this movie is... you guys are all pretty close to the right idea. It's not Die Hard. This came out in 2009. It kind of came out of nowhere. It's just not about a dog. It's kind of true. Change dog into daughter, and it's basically the same movie, or very, very similar. So, yeah. Change dog into daughter. It's not Quantum of Solace. It's not a James Bond movie. I just realized I have no James Bond movies in my top 100. I guess I'm not that big a James Bond fan. There's a lot of his movies I'm not that big a fan of. Finding Nemo. All right, no. The movie it stars Liam Neeson. Yes, Bruce Wayne guy. It's Taken. Taken comes in number 32 for me. I remember when I first went to watch this movie, it had one of my favorite movie theater moments ever. We all remember Taken. Well, you might not if you guys don't even know what Taken is. But Taken has a famous phone scene where Liam Neeson originally talks to the people who kidnapped his daughter and tells them that they can either give her away or give her back, or he'll find them and he will kill them. And then when they said good luck, there was a guy in the theater who's like, ho ho, it's on now, motherfucker. And it was one of my favorite theater moments. I'm like, oh my God, it is on. But I remember that movie was so, when it first came out, it really was kind of a shocker. I was like, oh my God, this is actually good. Like, I really didn't think the movie was going to be good. And then as I watched it, I'm like, this is still good. This is still so much fun to watch. Taken is just, it's a lot of raw fun. And if you just want to see bad guys get their comeuppance, this movie is just made for that. But the way that it's shot, the way that it's done, just feels so fluid, raw, and good. Like, the fighting doesn't seem... I think it's the way it's shot. Pierre Morel just does such a really good job in this movie of making it, like, look really, really good and really, really plausible. Because Liam Neeson's, like, 50-something in this movie at least, if not 60. And he's just kicking everybody's ass, but the way it's shot makes it look totally legitimate that he's doing that. And then it's like scene after scene, it's just good. There's a couple awkward scenes here and there where it's like, I don't know how I feel about this scene. But for the most part, it's just action, beating the shit out of bad guys from start to finish. And I also kind of like that it doesn't get stuck in the stereotypes of a lot of these movies, where like, oh, I gotta, he's just too badass to be left behind by some of the stereotypes we were used to seeing in these kidnap kind of scenarios. He doesn't do any of that stuff. He finds a lot of creative ways to kill people. It's just a lot of fun. It's a really, really fun movie. And if you're into seeing people get their comeuppance, Taken is kind of the ultimate movie for you. And Liam Neeson, this is where I really like... I've always liked Liam Neeson as an actor, but this is his piece de la resistance for me. Not necessarily his best acting role, but probably the most fun to watch of any of his acting movies. Just incredible. Yeah, I think there's a lot of... I'm not going to say it's like a super unique plot, but I think the thing that's the most unique about this movie is how it's shot. I think it's shot in a very specific way, and the way that the like fighting takes place is really, really cool. And the ideas that it comes up with. And it's a really pretty good script, too. It just, I like revenge movies, I do. So, Taken has always been something I've really enjoyed. So on number 31, if there was a movie that's in my like top 50 that I would think that you guys either haven't seen or would totally disagree with that it's this good of a movie, it would probably be this one. Because I think most of you have probably not seen this. I'll be very proud of you guys if one of you has seen this movie. I remember when I went to go see this movie, I looked it up because I'd heard somebody said it was good, and I was a really big fan of the main actor, or had been recently, and I had a bit of a crush on the main actress. So I'm like, okay, this could, maybe it's good. This, to me, is one of the best romantic comedies of all time. I love this movie. I think it's relatively unique in the way that it does things. You guys definitely aren't going to get it by basing off what I've just said, because I've told you basically nothing. So what I will tell you is it stars Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which you guys may have already noticed. I really like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's in a lot of these movies at the top, or he's about to be. I don't know why. He's just in a lot of movies I like. I like him as an actor, apparently. But he's in the movie with Zooey Deschanel, who's the main actress. And I want to see if you guys get it from that. 500 Days of Summer. I love this movie. I love it so much. I don't know why exactly I love this movie so much. I think there's a lot of me relating to Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, and I love the progression his character has to make, which is also a progression I need to make in real life, so I think that might have a lot to do with it. But he, and Zooey Deschanel's character is extremely lovable, but I like the way that they depict romance in this movie, because it's so fucking accurate to real life. And I think it actually might do a lot of people favors to watch a movie like this. But that's one reason I really like it. It's relatively funny. I think the way that they progress the like side characters and stuff is actually pretty funny too. But like I told you guys, I do kind of enjoy romantic comedies, and this one probably is closer to the romance than the comedy, but it does have a lot of comedy in it. But a lot of it hinges on the likability of Joseph Gordon-Levitt, which I think is actually really high. So I really enjoy him in this movie. It also randomly has Chloe Grace Moretz in it, which is interesting because she's like Joseph Gordon-Levitt's little sister, which is kind of interesting. But anyway, movie in general is really good. You're going to put Joseph Gordon-Levitt's best role in your top 20. Cobra Commander and G.I. Joe. Oh, God. No, I don't have any G.I. Joe movies in my top 100. But yeah, 500 Days of Summer is number 31. I didn't figure any of you guys would have probably seen it, but that made a very, very big impact on me when I first saw it. But yeah, really good. And and again, this is another movie that doesn't fit in with most of the tropes of the genre. I usually like movies that really break genre rules and do things a lot differently than you would expect them to do in the genre. And that's what 500 Days of Summer does. I feel like it's almost like an anti-romantic comedy in a way. And it also has an outstanding ending. I love the ending of this movie. Cobra! I forgot he was even in that movie. I forgot G.I. Joe almost even existed. That movie's just something I totally forgot about for the longest time. Do you have any old films like from the 70s or 80s, or are most modern? Most of them are modern, but I do have movies from the 70s or 80s on this list. So, I'm going to take us all the way to number 25. Well, really to number 26. And then I will reveal the top 25 movies in their own special way during a specific stream where I can try to get as many of you people that care about this as possible to be there for that stream. So I'm going to get us to number 26. Well, really to number 25. So, let us continue. Number 30 is another movie that came out in 2009. That's 3 in a row that have come out in 2009. 2009 was a really good year for movies for me. This movie is a raunchy comedy. One of the best ever. One of my favorite comedies that has ever existed. I absolutely love this movie. Top to bottom, it's a fucking classic. No, it's a comedy. No, Watchmen is not a comedy. Not Step Brothers. I hate Step Brothers. Okay, I need to talk about this separately. Why does everyone love that movie so much? I shouldn't say I hate it. I just think it's okay. I don't know why everybody loves Step Brothers so much. Everybody loves Step Brothers. I don't get it. It's just an okay comedy. There's just nothing unbelievably funny in that movie. It has its moments. I can never understand it. People have obsessed about that movie ever since it came out. I never got it. That is a movie that has never made sense to me. But two of you got it right. It is The Hangover. The Hangover is the movie that comes in at number 30. Bradley Cooper, the introduction of Zach Galifianakis, although I guess he was known for something else, and OBS broke again. All right. Am I back? I don't know what the fuck that was. Something went wrong. Due to the effects in particular, you will need to log in again. Oh my god. What the fuck is going on? I don't know if I'm online or if I'm not online right at the moment. I don't know if I'm talking to you guys or if I'm not talking to you. Who knows what's going on? Oh my god, did it really fucking do that? Am I on or am I not on OBS? Can you make up your goddamn mind? Am I back? I think I'm back. For fuck's sake. What is going on tonight? This fucking pisses me off. Now I can't, like, upload this stream. It would be in 3 different parts. I mean, I guess I could upload it in 3 different parts. Fucking stupid. God. All right. Can we just finish this stream? Come on, OBS / whatever the fuck is else fucked up. All right. I'm mad about that. Anyway, point is, number 30 is The Hangover. This is another movie when it first came out. I could not believe how funny it kept being. Like, I kept expecting it to, like, kind of fall apart and not be that funny. It's just funny from start to finish. Every line of this movie is fucking hilarious. It just, I don't know. I think what also amazes me is that the plot of this movie is actually really, really good. Like, it's a really, really funny plot. And it actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm kind of surprised it wasn't done before. And maybe it was to a smaller degree, but at least as a full-length movie, it's never been done before. Or maybe it has, someone might know. But anyway, I absolutely love The Hangover. Zach Galifianakis' character is hilarious. Ed Helms, Bradley Cooper, the combination of those guys is so good. And the fact that the story just kept escalating and kept getting more and more interesting, and then in the end really made sense and had a complete story, a complete ending with a lot of hilarious moments, which still to me the best one is probably right at the beginning before the hangover even happens, when they're on the roof and Alan pulls out a knife and says we need to do a blood oath. That's still probably the funniest thing to me. So having The Hangover at number 30 seems about right. It used to be a lot higher, though, but I think comedies for me have not necessarily been the, like, yeah, he did cut his hand. I don't know if he actually cut his hand in in reality. Like, he cut his hand in the movie. I don't know if he cut his hand in real life. He might have. So, yeah, I think that The Hangover at 30 makes sense for me, but it did used to be higher because comedies and stuff I used to put as higher than I do now. I guess they're just not as interesting to me. All right. So coming in at number 29 is, once again, Christopher Nolan. Christopher Nolan has been busy for me lately. This movie was... When did this come out? Oh, if I tell you when it came out, it'll be too obvious. Cut his hand, even though he brought blood pack and freaked everyone out. So he actually did do that? Well, no wonder that was done so well. It's not The Dark Knight Rises, it's Inception. Inception, I put at number 29. I will say that this movie probably would have been higher, but the one problem Inception has is not Inception's fault. It's me. I'm a little weird on mind benders. I appreciate them, but the mind bendingness of this film kind of hurts me now more than it used to with my DPDR issues. So I think that kind of hurts it a little bit. Again, it's not Inception's fault. Why does the ground look so shitty? Is that going to change? Can the ground look better? What the fuck is this? What is a PS1 game? Am I still, like, disconnected from the internet? I mean, this isn't even worth playing if it's not going to get better than this. I'm in PS1 graphics here. Probably my favorite Nolan film. At least we're seeing The Dark Knight, but I didn't care for Interstellar or Tenet. I think Inception is genius because it is completely unique. I've never seen a movie like it before or after. Although there have been some that are trying to do after. Low graphics are down, shitty rendering. Yeah, this isn't even going to be worth doing. I'm not going to Madrid if this doesn't fix. This looks horrendous. Thought the PS1 it had better graphics than this. You're probably right. Yeah, this needs to fix. Is it gonna fix on the way, or do I need to, like, restart it? I'll probably have to restart it. Well, I'm not restarting the entire thing, because I'm not going back to that. Where exactly am I? I'll just pick a random spot and say that's where I'm at. This is awful. I don't know what the fuck is happening. It makes no sense. My internet can't be going down, or else the stream would be completely gone. So I don't know what the fuck is going on. Alright, well, Valencia was over here, I think. Yeah. So Valencia, I don't think we got to Cuenca. Maybe we did, I don't know. I think we're, like, somewhere over here. Yeah, we'll depart from there. Madrid will still be our arrival place. Let's try to arrive in the evening. Yeah, evening flight. Cookies router is literally a saltine cracker. Clanker. Prestige crushes everything. I don't know why my internet keeps going down. Alright, I want to talk about Inception, but I want to make sure I have, like, something to fly to. Alright, here we go. We're good again. Good rendering is back. I think I'm further away than we actually were, but whatever. Alright, let's talk about Inception. It's an extremely unique movie, which is probably one of the best things about it. It has an extremely unique score, which I absolutely love. Leonardo DiCaprio kills in this role. I don't think he gets nearly enough credit. I guess everybody just assumes every time that Leo does anything, it's going to be amazing. But he is outstanding in this movie. My favorite scene of his, as far as acting, is when Maul dies, jumps from the building. His reaction is just so raw and realistic and well done. He's fantastic in this movie. I love Tom Hardy. Again, here's Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So this is where the Joseph Gordon-Levitt movies just start popping off. Excuse me. He's really good in this. I really enjoy... I love the idea of this and how incredibly creative it was and how they made different ways of just like finding different ways to like make the dream more and more interesting. I forgot about Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy's in this too. It's the beginning of seeing Tom Hardy, which is another one of my favorite actors. He's outstanding in this movie. And it's just extremely creative and really, really smart. Now, the ending used to be a point of contention for me, but over time I started to understand it, and it's an absolutely fantastic ending. And Cillian Murphy's in this too. Well, he's in pretty much every Nolan film, but Cillian Murphy, I really like that. I really like a lot of the ideas that they talk about in this movie and the sentimental moments in this movie, and basically about reality and dreaming, and it's just a brilliantly done movie with a fantastic ending. The ending to me, like when I first saw it, I really didn't like it. I'm like, oh, they're not even going to tell us what's actually going on. But over time, I really came to like it. So it's a fantastic film. But yeah, it's just a complete film with incredible set design and just some of the things that happen in this movie are just unheard of. Like there's the upside down hallway scene. There's the fucking scene where they like put the city on top of itself. It's just incredible, just amazing. So yeah, I'm a very, very big fan of Inception, obviously. So I put that at number 29. Number 28. I guess this is my top horror movie. There might be some people that don't consider this horror, but I think most people consider this a horror movie, for the most part. So, this movie came out in 1999. The director of this movie is a very, very interesting director. He's a very interesting director. Everybody knows who he is, but a lot of people think he sucks. And for the most part, I agree with them. However, in this movie, I think he blows people away. I think he does an incredible job in this movie. It's not Event Horizon. I don't know what that is, but it's not that. But this is I definitely would consider it a horror movie, though. I'm kind of surprised you guys haven't. Well, some of you haven't guessed this yet. If I told you who the director is, it's a little too easy. This might be too easy too, but there's a very famous child actor in this movie. What I mean by that is that he was nominated for an Oscar for his role in this movie. That's how famous this role was. Not Dawn of the Dead. But I really like this movie. Mostly because of when it goes away from horror, which it does from time to time. Yeah, Deadlight should definitely know it from that. No, not Shaun of the Dead, not Child's Play. I See Dead People. Yes, it's The Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense is my number 28 movie. Oh, well, I thought you already knew it. So I just went ahead and said it. But yeah, The Sixth Sense is my number 28 movie. This is a movie I was absolutely shocked that I really liked, but I heard it was like a very famous movie. People always seem to consider it one of the best horror movies, so I figured I should give it a shot. And it's outstanding. I love not everything about this movie, but I love how creepy it is throughout the movie. It's not like in your face horror, but it really does creep you out throughout the movie. Like you don't really know what the fuck's going on, and it's super fucking creepy. So I knew what it was. I forgot the name. Yeah, this is M. Night Shyamalan, and this is why anyone even knows who M. Night Shyamalan is because of The Sixth Sense. It was such a good movie and so well directed, and it was. M. Night Shyamalan does an amazing job in this movie of keeping it creepy throughout. Even when nothing creepy is necessarily going on, he still manages to keep it very fucking creepy throughout this movie. Bruce Willis does a really good job in this movie too. So yeah, and Haley Joel Osment as the kid, his performance is incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Yeah, it's true about Unbreakable. I never saw that, but I did hear it was a very, very good film, too. And a lot of people liked his film they did recently. A couple of his films he did recently. The one with James McAvoy, I know Split, a lot of people liked, too. Anyway. But yeah, The Sixth Sense was really good. Yeah, the graphics got a lot better, so we're good now. It's still pretty. What was I going to say? But what I really like about The Sixth Sense is it has its horror elements. It has its like really scary, freaky moments and stuff. But the whole thing generally is a nice kind of interesting story about how Haley Joel Osment more or less has to face his fears and figure out why it's happening in order for him to get better from them. So I really, really liked it. Signs, I used to really like Signs, but when I went back to watch Signs again, I'm like, there's a lot of corny, odd moments in this. So, like, I really liked Signs when I first saw it, but when I went back to watch it again, I'm like, oh god, this has got a lot of corny, strange moments in it. But, of course, what Sixth Sense is mainly known for is the ending. Now, everybody knows the ending of The Sixth Sense. If you don't, I don't know how you don't know the ending of The Sixth Sense. It is the most famous twist ending. I don't know about most famous, but usually this is the twist ending everybody talks about is The Sixth Sense twist ending. And I already knew it before I watched The Sixth Sense too. It's not a spoiler. If you don't know that Bruce Willis is a ghost, I don't know where the fuck you've been for the past, 20 years. That's been talked about 1,000 times about Bruce Willis being a ghost. I knew going into this movie that Bruce Willis was a ghost, and I still got surprised that he was a ghost. I just didn't think it would happen the way it did. I was so fucking shocked. Even though I knew full well that he was a ghost, I just figured it wouldn't happen the way that it happened. And when it does, it shocks your fucking ass off. I don't know if everybody, some people say, oh, I saw that coming. But if you didn't hear about it ahead of time, I don't know how you see it coming. It's a brilliant twist. It's an absolutely fantastic twist. It's the best way you could have possibly done it. It's part of the clan. And that's one of the things I love about it even more. The fact that I knew the twist was coming and it still surprised me just fucking blew me away. That's how much the movie entranced me. And it just... I did not expect him to be a ghost the way he ended up being a ghost. It's just an incredibly good movie. And I can see why everybody thought that M. Night Shyamalan would be the next great director. And he's He's been something. just a strange. He's been a very strange director ever since. He had Unbreakable, which most people liked, Signs, which a lot of people liked, and then it's kind of all over the place after that. All right, number 27. We're getting into the well, this is a apocalyptic movie. At number 27. Not the biggest apocalyptic guy for movies, but I do really like this one. Shyamalan has great ideas / concept, but he tends to fuck up the execution. 1000% agree. Shyamalan has a very, very interesting concepts when he comes up with movies. Mad Max, I Am Legend. Both very good guesses, but both wrong. Nope. I've never been a fan of Mad Max. I watched Mad Max Fury Road, and I thought it was very overrated. I know a lot of people really love Mad Max Fury Road. I was not one of them. I didn't like it. I'm sorry. That just didn't appeal to me. Book of Eli. I actually did like the Book of Eli at the time when I was a Christian. I don't really like it now, but it's definitely not that high. So this is an apocalyptic movie from the 90s. It's a very famous movie. I'm a little surprised you guys haven't thought of it yet, but I guess it's not like apocalyptic like Mad Max, but it's apocalyptic for sure in its own way, I guess. Pee Wee Herman's Big Adventure. Waterworld? No, not Waterworld. Batman Forever? No. This might be. I think this is the only movie on this list, and this will be a dead giveaway. But I think it's the only movie on this list that has Arnold Schwarzenegger in it. I'm pretty sure this is the only one. No, it's not Armageddon. It's not a bad guess though. Fuck. That should be very obvious. Apocalyptic movie with Schwarzenegger. Terminator. Well, specifically Terminator 2, Judgment Day. I like the, yeah, you said it, Terminator 2. It should go all the way. Put the cookie down. Do it. No, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, I really, really enjoy this movie. The first Terminator I liked. I didn't think it was outstanding, but it was an enjoyable, good movie with an interesting plot. Especially for that time period, it was very unusual. But the second one really took Terminator to another level. The idea to make Schwarzenegger's Terminator from the ultimate bad guy to an interesting, good character, and the way they did it was pretty intelligent and smart too, was just so fucking good. And then making Robert Patrick's character this terrifying Terminator that was more advanced than Schwarzenegger's Terminator was such a brilliant idea too. And there are just some epic, like the best chase scenes in cinema, I think, are in this movie, with some of the best line deliveries. Hasta la vista, baby, for me, is always going to be better than I'll be back as far as Schwarzenegger lines as Terminator. It's just so badass. Not only was it extremely badass, it actually made sense in the movie too. But it was just so fucking good. I really, really enjoy this movie. It's got a lot of very epic scenes. It's got an incredibly terrifying like nuclear bomb scene too, which apparently, according to nuke experts, is actually pretty accurate to what a real nuclear missile would be like if it actually went off like that. But yeah, just really, really good. And you have Sarah Connor as being extremely different than the original Sarah Connor, which was really, really interesting, especially for the time. To like have an actress in like that kind of a leading role was really interesting. But James Cameron really had his best in this movie. A lot of like special effects were very, very unique for this movie. It's really good, and then a really, really good ending. Terminator 3 was not good. I've only seen part of Terminator 3. But yeah, the nuke scene was horrifying. But like there were just so many cool ass moments that just are extremely memorable, and it's visceral. It's very visceral. Like, the kills are very visceral, and there's just a lot of tense, like, moments where you just expect everything's going to go wrong and they don't really do it. Are there any movies starring Sylvester Stallone in your list? I don't think so. I don't think there are. Unless he, like, snuck into one of these movies and I'm just not thinking of it. But I don't think there are. Terrifying concept to me because of how plausible nuclear war is in my lifetime. Well, Terminator 2 would show you exactly what it'll look like, Nebulelli. Something to look forward to. Alright, so the last one that I'm going to show, at least during this stream, is going to be number 26. This is kind of a romantic comedy, but more into the comedy than the romance. I mean, romance is definitely a decent chunk of this, but it's more a comedy than a romantic comedy. But the reason I even bring up the romance is I really like the romance of this movie. But the comedy is the main point of this movie. No, it's not 300. Jesus. This came out in 2005, I'm pretty sure. Let me say some of the side characters that are in this movie and not say the main characters. Christopher Walken is in this movie. Rachel McAdams is in this movie. Isla Fisher is in this movie. Bradley Cooper. These are all non-main characters that are in this movie. That's probably all the famous non-main characters. No, not Joe Dirt. Maybe I should say the main characters because you guys are not getting anywhere close. Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson. This is actually one of the first movies I've ever seen Bradley Cooper or Rachel McAdams in. Or Isla Fisher, actually. Wedding Crashers is number 26 for me. I love this film because it's fucking hilarious. I think it's one of the funniest films I've ever seen. Vince Vaughn is definitely at his best in this movie from start to finish. Just absolutely hilarious. Like between, I think the best scenes of this movie. All right, there's a scene where he's getting jerked off under the table is fucking hilarious. The scene where the mom makes the one guy touch her breast, and then the funny part about that is after that scene happens, that Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn meet up. Vince Vaughn calls him a pussy. You'd have to see it because that's not going to make any sense otherwise. But there's just so many ridiculously funny moments in this. There's Todd, who's fucking hilarious in this movie too. I don't know. A lot of this stuff doesn't make any sense if you haven't actually seen the movie, but all those scenes are hilarious, and I really like the romance of this story. It doesn't hurt that Rachel McAdams is Rachel McAdams, and she's just like insanely lovable in this movie. That does help, and Bradley Cooper is so good at being a douchebag. It's weird looking back now because he's such a big star now, and at the time he was kind of unknown. But he's so good at being the douchebag. He's one of the best, like, comedy villains I can honestly remember. He does such a really good job in that. No, not Joe Dirt. The disgusting tone. Joe Dirt is great. All right, well, I'm sorry that I hurt your feelings on that. And Isla Fisher is hilarious as the crazy-ass girlfriend. Who, like, starts spraying, like, alcohol on Vince Vaughn's scars when she gets pissed at him. Sticks a dirty sock down his throat while he's sleeping. There's so many, like, hilarious moments in that. But, yeah, Wedding Crashers is definitely one of my favorite all-time comedies. I think it's actually number 2, technically, on my all-time comedies. So, yeah, it's just a great movie. So, yeah, that's number 26. And there is only 25 films to go. We have almost reached the end. So the top 25 movies I will do in some special way. But like I said, I don't exactly know how that's going to be. But I do want to do them all at once. I want to try and make sure most of you are here for it. And then I will reveal the top 25. The epicest of the epic. Joe Dirt had sex with his sister in the movie? Damn. All time is Shooter McGavin. Shooter McGavin is pretty good. Happy Gilmore did not make the top 100, but it was a consideration. I do love Happy Gilmore. Yeah, I've never got Step Brothers, and what I get even less is why everybody's so incredibly passionate about that movie. But there is serious passion. Like people fucking adore that movie. I've never understood it. Never. I don't think I ever will. I guess I never really understood it. I kind of agree with Deadlight. I kind of found Will Ferrell and John C. Riley to be pretty annoying in that film. There was a lot of Will Ferrell movies though in the 2000s. I didn't understand why people liked it so much. You will find out soon that one of those movies I really, really liked. It's my favorite comedy of all time. But there's a lot of movies from that era with Will Ferrell that I did not understand why people thought were so funny. And Step Brothers is definitely one of them. They are lazy bums. Yeah, but they weren't like likable, funny lazy bums for me. They were just weird. I forgot that Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly made Sherlock Holmes. That didn't go over well. Geek Booby is peak comedy. All right. So yeah, that is the. So, other than Han Shot Last, I don't know how you guys think of my entire top 100 so far. Is it dog shit? Is it brilliant? I guess it's hard to know without actually having the top 25, but tell us some that just missed the top 100. Well, I've said these before, but I could say them. I could say them for you, Bruce Wayne. A couple that just missed it. Wally. The Emperor's New Groove just missed it. Independence Day just missed it. How to Train Your Dragon. The Mask of Zorro. Ace Ventura Pet Detective. Deadpool. Die Hard with a Vengeance. The Usual Suspects. Captain Phillips. Despicable Me 2. John Wick 3, Parabellum, Inglourious Bastards, The Bourne Supremacy, 300, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, Rush Hour 2? No, that didn't just miss. I think I was considering Rush Hour 2, and I'm like, that wasn't that good. Yeah, Arrival, Spider-Man Homecoming, V for Vendetta. So yeah, movies like that were some of them. It is an interesting list. Dog Water. Well, Nebulelli, I am curious, how many movies have you actually seen from my top 100 so far? Or have you only seen the Star Wars ones? You must increase your repertoire. Find the films. Can you send me the list? Actually, I don't know. I could, but I'd have to do a bunch of shit first. I'd probably have to put it on like Google Sheets and stuff. I'll send you maybe when I finish the whole thing. At least I missed most. It's okay. Well, to be fair, today I only did 40 through 26. Awful's only seen Star Wars songs. Have you ever seen the film Copland starring Sylvester Stallone? I haven't, but I think I've heard of it before. I think Stallone can be a pretty good actor. I mean, he just usually doesn't need to be. I kind of think the same as like Schwarzenegger. A lot of those guys from that time period, and a lot of actors in general, I think can be good actors if they challenge themselves, but they usually just don't do it. Or don't try to be. I have seen Paul Blart Mall Cop. It's an okay movie. It's not particularly great. Copland is good. James Mangold directed it. I've never seen Copland. What was I about to look up? Oh. Paul Blart Mall Cop. Jesus. Stallone's best role is King Shark in the Suicide Squad. Might be. Been here for like these films, then the ones you did when you started doing this list, and then a few you did last week, so I've missed like half the list so far. Yeah, I've been all over the place with the list, so it happens that way. Nom Nom. Monster Nom Nom. It's funny Stallone is still so jacked. Yeah, it's fine. All those guys, I mean, Schwarzenegger's still jacked too, isn't he? They just got to keep that going forever. I mean, if they love to do it, it makes sense why they stay jacked. If they really, really love to do it. All right, well, we're about 27 miles from Madrid. Not too much further now. Yeah, he's fucking crazy. No. It's a very odd design on this plane. You still Once Upon a Time in the West. I did not have Once Upon a Time in the West. I've never been a big fan of Westerns. I'm trying to think what is like... The funny thing is, I think the top Western is probably Blazing Saddles, which makes fun of Westerns, so that's not really a Western. So yeah, I've never been a big fan of Western. Feel the Z-Quil taking its effects on me. I'm definitely going to fall asleep during this stream unless Cookie gets naked. Oh, well, it just so happens. No, I'm not getting naked. I know you did pay to kill the stream boss, but part of that wasn't that I suddenly take all my clothes off. That was not part of the deal. Oh, have I seen Once Upon a Time in the West? I've seen part of it. I haven't seen the whole thing. But I've seen part of it. Just a lot of Westerns I haven't seen. But in general, I'm not a huge fan of older movies. But I'm trying to think. In my top 25... do I have any older movies? I think I have a couple movies from the 80s. Oh, it shouldn't be. Dredd is not on my list. I've never seen Dredd. I haven't seen the old one with Stallone or the new one with Carl Urban. Film is Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't care that it's a video game because it is cinema. Not cinema. It should be part of the deal. Well, it wasn't part of the deal. Part of the deal wasn't to nuke my channel. Like, thanks for the $100. Now I'm never going to stream again because I'm going to whip my dick out. Are there any more Tarantino films in your list? Yes, there are. I'm not going to tell you how many, but there are more Tarantinos. Any foreign movies on your list? Yes, actually. I didn't think of this before, but that movie is foreign, so yeah, there is a foreign movie on my list. I mean, it's literally not in English, so it's definitely foreign. I'm not going to tell you what it is. That's not part of the deal. I'm not telling you what it is. I think here. So now you guys, well, if you could do the math, you can figure out how much movies are in my top 25. So if I've already told you how many Star Wars and MCU movies there were overall, as well as Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, you could be able to discern that there should be 2 more Star Wars movies in my top 25. There should be 2 more MCU movies in my top 25. A Lord of the Rings movie. And other movies. The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises would both be in the top 25. Yes, that would also be accurate. Is it Turkish Star Wars? No, it's not Turkish Star Wars. Stop trying to get me to guess it. Or, to tell you. Episodes 5 and 3. Maybe. I mean, you guys have seen my like tier list of Star Wars movies, so if I put anything else up there, it's not going to make much sense unless I had a massive change to my tier list ranking. Same with the MCU. You guys should probably be able to guess the 2 MCU movies are in the top 25 too. Raiders in the top 25. Maybe. I'll never tell. Oh, I guess I should tell. No, I haven't announced Raiders yet, and I did tell you it's in the top 25 or in the top 100. So, yes, Raiders is in the top 25 somewhere. But I'll never tell where. What is that building? It's an interesting little building on a hill over there. Looks like a bunker. Do you watch any foreign films? Not a lot of them. I've seen some. No, not Back to the Future. I've never been a huge fan of Back to the Future. It's a good film. I like it, but I've never been like a big fan of it, I guess. But it's an enjoyable film. I get why people like it. I've just never been a huge fan of Back to the Future. Like, I don't feel like I do about Step Brothers. Shit list. Oh, Jesus Christ. It's a beauty of a list. Honestly, if you guys agree with, like, 50% of my list, that's pretty good. And by agree, you mean, like, it's a good movie. Like, if you think half of my list is... Well, no, let me put it this way. If you guys think that 75% of the movies are at least good... then it would be pretty successful in your mind. You may not think that. I'm just trying to put things in perspective here. Tremors is not on my list. No, I've never seen Tremors, so I couldn't make it. I don't even know if I can make a 100 movies list. It's very difficult. I mean, let's be honest. It's an amazing thing that I've even created this list. Let's be real. I mean, this took years and years of work. I had to literally find every movie I've ever seen in my life, rank every single one, figure out which ones have a chance to make the list, and then go through every single one of those movies to define exactly how much I like it in order to bring this list to you. That's a lot of work. So I'm just putting that out there. It is very hard to make an accurate top 100 movies list. Most of them are good. They're arranged in a very interesting order. I could appreciate that. Both have perfect pacing, character arcs, and dialogue. Cars 2 is number 1, methinks. Well, there are 2 Pixar movies left. Pixar has as many movies in the top 25 as Star Wars and the MCU, which is actually an interesting thought that I've never had before, but that is accurate. All right, we are about to arrive in Madrid. Is that the Bernabeu right there? That might be the Bernabeu over there. Kind of looks like it. I'm going to journey my way over here because I think that might be the Bernabeu over there. It'd be a shame if Tesco's not here right now, because he's been wanting to see Madrid all this time. It'd suck if he's not here. Seeing the lighthouse, you'd probably hate it. Oh, that's the Wanda Metropolitano. That's where Atletico plays. It's Atletico Madrid Stadium, so I'm definitely going to take a look at that. Madrid, Madrid, Madrid. I'm curious how close the Wanda Metropolitano is to the Santiago Bernabeu. Yeah, the lighthouse looks pretty strange to me. I've seen it. I've seen, like, trailers and stuff for it. It looks pretty fucking crazy. Yeah, I think I see where the Bernabeu is, too. So this is right on the outskirts of the city is where the Wanda Metropolitano is. That's kind of interesting. So they keep this on the outskirts, and the Bernabeu is more deep inside of Madrid. The mermaid scene stuck with you from the lighthouse? I mean, this seems like a more appropriate location for a stadium. Doesn't look like they have much of a parking lot, though. It's pretty cool. Trying to get some frame loss, though, or it's lagging balls as I go over it. Oh no. Oh god, we're really lagging balls now. Jesus Christ. Madrid is just too much for Flight Simulator. It can't handle the Madrid. Oh my god. Series X, what's wrong with you? Are you sad? Well, I'm sad because you're not doing a very good job of showing me Madrid. Get your shit together, Series X. Madrid is too thick. Yeah, Madrid is just too much for it. Yeah, I think that's the Bernabeu over there, so I'll go look at that soon. Bernabeu is the biggest, I think it's the biggest stadium in the world for soccer. Or it's at least the most famous. Madrid is a pretty big city. It's very, very big. What the hell is this building? It's like a big giant spear in the sky. It's pretty cool. El Retiro Park? Okay. Monumento a Alfonso the 12th. That's pretty looking. I feel like I've seen that somewhere before. Museo Nacional del Prado. Just a cool looking museum. Plaza Mayor. I think this is just a really cool area of Madrid. Oh my god. It's falling apart again. That plaza's interesting. Ah, the Royal Palace of Madrid. How pretty. Pretty! It's so beautiful. Right now I gotta try and turn this plane around without wrecking. Nearly impossible feat. Wow. That is a epic fucking palace. It's like black on one side and white on the other too. It's kind of cool. It's a nice little building over there too. So epic. No, I didn't. It's Retiro Park. You know I didn't say that. Oh, almost 9/11 that building. That's kind of cool. All right, let's go to the Santiago Bernabeu now. I'm sad that Tesco wasn't here for this. He was actually really excited to see Madrid and fucking fell asleep. Almost what? I don't know. I don't know what I almost did. I mean, 9/11 is kind of funny at this point. You have to laugh at horrible things that have happened. Or you could just not, but too soon. Okay. I don't know. Alright, here's the Santiago Bernabeu. I think it's the biggest stadium in soccer, I think. Madrid is pretty metropolitan. I swear to God. If this thing freezes right before I get to see the fucking Bernabeu. That's a pretty big stadium. Real Madrid. Pretty. Boy, the Bernabeu is not in a great location, though. It's right in the middle of the fucking city. Yeah, Madrid is a pretty cool looking place, I must say. Hey, Mad Killer, what's up? You're here just in time to see Madrid if you haven't been lurking this whole time. Well, it's gone pretty good. Right now I'm going to try and split these two buildings without dying. It's not a great idea. But I'm going to do it anyway, because I'm crazy. Woo! Look at that. Look at that skill. You guys thought I was just going to fly into the building and die a horrific death. That's what I thought I was going to do. Cookie, can you can't be talking about my bad taste when you hate Step Brothers. Oh my god. You like Step Brothers too. You know, that actually makes me feel better about not liking Step Brothers. Wow, I didn't see that thing coming. Alright, for the record, that's also really cool looking. Yeah, Madrid's got some pretty cool looking shit. But this stadium is not in a good spot. It's literally like the traffic to the Bernabeu must be insane. Where the fuck do you even park? There's nowhere to park. It's literally... How would you get here? I guess you just can't drive cars to it. You would have to, like, just take the train, I guess. There's no fucking way. That thing is so crammed in. I don't think I've ever seen a stadium crammed into the middle of a city square like that. You have a good take for once. I don't want to hear your shit. I've ignored all of your takes because I can't take it anymore. Your takes are untakeable. There's 4 towers. Cookie's going to do a 9/11 squared. 9/11 squared. That's so stupid. Oh, my back hurts. All right. Well, this has been quite a flight today, boys and girl. We have gone from southern France and Montpellier all the way to Barcelona. And then we went from Barcelona to Ibiza, Spain, which was kind of disappointing. I was hoping there was something more in Ibiza, Spain, but there wasn't. And then we ended up here in Madrid, which is pretty cool. I like Madrid. End the stream with a 9/11. My God. Why don't you guys test out my incredible landing skills? I mean, there is an airport over here. I could literally land like a normal person without trying to kill myself. But if that's not interesting enough for you guys, and you have to see me blow myself up or attempt to. 81-121. Yeah, try a normal landing. Alright. Ooh, what's this colorful stuff over here? Pretty colors. I see colors. I don't know what it is, but I see them. Ooh, it's colorful. Colorful. All right. If I'm going to try to actually land legitimately, I wonder how I'll do it. Well, where should I even attempt to land? Should I just do it the easy way and land at an airport, or do I need to try some crazy landing? And if I do, where am I going to do this crazy landing? So Madrid has an epic railway station, apparently. Try a normal land. Oh, pretty colors. Suburbs killing dozens. Attempt at a normal landing. So you want me to go to the airport? I can do that. There's an airport over somewhere. I don't know where it is. Oh, there it is. Ooh, a pretty park. Look at that pretty park. It's a pretty park. I almost killed myself, but I didn't. All right. So there's an airport about 4.5 miles from here. Oh, God. Lagging again. Crash into the Atletico Madrid stadium. I could. Fuck up this landing and crash into one of the terminals. Well, I haven't landed with this plane. So I'm kind of curious if it's easier to land with these planes that go faster, or it's probably going to be pretty hard. I don't entirely know. I'm gonna stop dive bombing. Madrid looks pretty cool. See, Madrid and Barcelona are both very cool-looking places. Oh, we're shooting landing strip and blow up a preschool. Why is there a preschool right next to an airport? That's their fault. That's dooming yourself. They should have known that that would happen. Let's get the wheels out. Actually coming down too quickly. Oh. Oh no. Little rough. Why is it slowing down? I'm on the brakes. I can't go any slower than this. Not my best landing, but I got there. That's all that really matters. Wow. This thing really is not easy to stop. Stop the fucking thing. I'm on the brakes. It just won't stop moving. Oh, God. We're gonna still die. No. Why won't it stop moving? I'm literally at no power. Well, I guess turning will stop it. Maybe. Why is it still moving? How the fuck is it still going? Why are the doors locked? Why does it keep moving? My God, this thing. Is it just broken? Like, okay, I think it's stopping. No, it's not. Stop the damn plane. I can't put it in park. Oh, yes, I can. Okay, I did it. Yay. A successful landing. Everyone lived. Might have broken a leg, but they're probably all still alive. Yay. We're all still alive. Just some minor injuries. Alright. Well, guys, this was quite a stream. A lot of things happened. The gay road trip has been unlocked. We are off to talk with Bohan because he never responded to my text. I don't know what's going on there. But we will be on our way to gay. Probably in a little while because I have to get my new car. But I'll have my new car in a week. So once I have the new car, the possibility of doing that stream will begin. So, of course, big thanks to Langford. All of you owe him, as do I. So, keep it in mind. And, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been fun through all 3 of my fucking streams that happened today. So, yeah. Until next time, probably tomorrow. Toodaloo, everybody.